Now, from the WCCO Live Desk, you're watching CBS News Minnesota.
Good Monday morning. I'm Maria Lizignoli. It's 10 o'clock live in the WCCO newsroom. Thank you for joining us at the Live Desk. In the last few minutes, a probable cause hearing began after a complaint accused Mike Lindell, MyPillow CEO and Republican gubernatorial candidate in Minnesota, of violating campaign laws by giving away pillows promoting his candidacy at a July 4th parade. A complaint filed on July 22nd alleges Lindell and others from his campaign threw pillows to spectators during a parade in Delano, Minnesota. According to the complaint, the packaging of the pillows said Mike Lindell for governor, and their value is about $35. The complaint said this violates the state's Fair Campaign Practices law, which prohibits giving something of monetary value or promising something of value to a person in order to induce or deter voting in a particular way in an election. Now, I just got off the phone with Mike Lindell, who said the criminal complaint was incorrect in the value of the pillows that were distributed. He says the value of the pillows was around $4.90, which he says is below the regulated threshold. Lindell says all this information was given to the judge before this morning's hearing, which started right at 10 a.m. Esme Murphy will be following this hearing and bring you a full report in our later newscasts. Today's other top headline: the man responsible for the lawmaker attacks last summer is already spending life in prison, but it's not stopping the state from having their day in court. Happening today, Vance Belter is expected to make his first court appearance for state charges against him. This is a new booking photo of Belter in Hennepin County Jail. Our Barrett Leone has more on today's hearing.
It's now the state's turn. Vance Belter's first appearance in state court will happen this afternoon. He's set to face a Hennepin County judge on state charges tied to the same deadly attacks last summer. And again, this comes after 2 life sentences plus 40 years in federal court. Earlier last month, prosecutors say these state charges will ensure accountability under Minnesota law, and today is the first step towards that. Vance Belter pleaded guilty to murdering former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and shooting State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette while their daughter Hope called for help. And now prosecutors here in Hennepin County are moving forward with their own case. Belter faces 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder, 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder, along with charges of impersonating a peace officer and animal cruelty. County Attorney Mary Moriarty says even with the federal sentence complete, the state intends to hold Belter accountable under Minnesota law.
Mr. Belter will sit in a Hennepin County courtroom and be held accountable for his actions. We are in contact with the U.S. Attorney's Office about transferring Mr. Belter into our custody. This was a devastating wave of targeted political violence that shocked our state and the nation. My thoughts are with the Hoffmans and with Mark and Melissa's family and loved ones as the federal phase ends and we approach state prosecution.
We know that the state has been determined to carry out these charges despite what happens at the federal level since the beginning. Now, this hearing, it's scheduled for 1:15 this afternoon. We will have a crew there, and we'll bring you the very latest here on WCCO and CBS News Minnesota.
Now, Belter is also charged with impersonating a peace officer, a crime that just received steeper penalties here in Minnesota. The charge has increased from a misdemeanor to a felony, and it went into effect over the weekend. Jail time can range from a maximum of 2 to 5 years, depending on intent. Repeat offenders could see up to 10 years behind bars. The law also requires those working as a peace officer to now identify who they're working for and provide their name and identification number. Senator Hoffman was one of the sponsors who pushed for this new law. We're working to learn more about what happened after a state trooper was taken to the hospital. The trooper was involved in a crash on 35 near 220th Street Sunday afternoon. According to the State Patrol, the trooper and the driver of another vehicle were seriously hurt. Both were taken to the hospital. The Forest Lake Police Department is leading the investigation into what happened. 24 people were arrested after an undercover operation aimed at protecting minors. This is according to Blaine police, who say the operation focused on undercover exploitation stings. So investigators would pose as underage and find adults seeking illegal conduct with minors. It was a 2-day operation. Police say they communicated with more than 350 individuals who responded to an online ad. 24 people offered to pay for illegal sexual conduct with someone they believed to be a minor. They were all arrested. Police tell us several were repeat offenders and one was a registered sex offender. Tonight, Lakeville will become the latest metro city to discuss a potential moratorium on data centers. It's up for discussion at the city council meeting tonight. They say they hope to settle on a review process for any data center development. Last month, the Minneapolis City Council approved a 5-month pause on data center development as the centers have drawn backlash from communities across the state over concerns of noise pollution, air quality impacts, and water usage. Other communities like Elk River, Inver Grove Heights, and Faribault have already implemented similar moratoriums or policies as well. Again, the Lakeville City Council will discuss and hold a moratorium vote on data centers at their meeting tonight. It's happening at 6. We'll be sure to follow it and update you with the latest information as it becomes available. Coming up, protests surrounded the Minnesota Lynx game. The comments made by an opposing player that caused protesters to show up at Target Center. Plus, as we take a live look outside, we have a brand new forecast with Adam Del Rosso right after the break.
Now, from the WCCO Live Desk, you're watching CBS News Minnesota.
Welcome back to the live desk. In northern Minnesota, as the local wildfire fight continues, we are expecting an update from officials this afternoon. You can watch that live right here at the live desk at 1 p.m. or on WCCO's YouTube page. But we do have some good news. Even more overnight entry points will soon reopen in the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. Tuesday and Wednesday, more entry points will reopen. So tomorrow, water access points on the Gunflint and Tofty Ranger District. Then on Wednesday, restrictions on overnight entry points on the Cowishiwi and LaCroix River Ranger District will be lifted as well, according to the U.S. Forest Service. However, some other entry points will remain impacted by the wildfires through the end of the quota permit season. You can find those details on the USDA website. Again, an update is expected at 1 p.m. We'll cover the latest on those impacts from the Northland wildfires on air and online at WCCO.com. Here's a live look in downtown Minneapolis, where our next weather tower is shining white, meaning not a big change from the weather yesterday. Let's check in with meteorologist Adam Del Rosso for a full look at today's forecast. Adam?
Hey, Maria, coming off of a beautiful weekend this morning. Hasn't been too bad. Our overnight low temperatures for most of Minnesota into the 60s, but we will notice some changes as we head toward the afternoon. It's going to be a little breezier, maybe a little bit more muggy out ahead of this cold front, which has brought some showers and storms to northwestern Minnesota. The ones that we see this evening across northern Minnesota could be strong to severe. There is a slight risk. Level 2 out of 5 threat from International Falls and Hibbing, south and westward through Bemidji toward Fergus Falls, Alexandria, Fargo, and Moorhead. Wind and hail would be the main threats as that boundary shifts southward. But thankfully, by the time that boundary makes its way toward the metro, it's not going to have as much instability to work with. So I don't think we're going to have anything severe to worry about. But we'll get a little bit of some much needed rain. We'll take it hour by hour on future radar. Here we go as we head toward 4 or 5 o'clock. Just some of those downpours, but they kind of blossom and enhance a little bit more as we head toward 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, continuing to shift eastward. By midnight, you can kind of see how intense that activity is going to be across north central Minnesota. Kind of eases up as you go farther south and west along that boundary. And beyond midnight through the early morning hours of our Tuesday, a lot of those showers and storms dissipate, with things eventually gone entirely by the time most of us are out the door for work tomorrow morning. On the backside of that front, winds turn out of the north and west. It is going to bring in some lower humidity, some cooler air. Temperatures area-wide tomorrow largely staying in the 70s. That is going to feel great. We're back up near 80 on Wednesday, and we continue that warming trend. By the end of the week and into the weekend, we're going to be right back up into the mid and upper 80s with maybe another chance for a shower or storm Saturday night and into Sunday morning.
All right, Adam, thank you. The Lynx continue to prove why they're one of the best in the WNBA. It was a sold-out crowd Sunday at Target Center as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever came to town. Minnesota had no problem under the bright lights. They led at halftime, and despite a run from the Fever late, they'd hang on to win it 108-100. Red Hot rookie Olivia Miles put up 28 points. The Lynx have now won 10 in a row, their longest streak since 2016. They have a 4-game lead for first place in the league. But politics took center stage ahead of Sunday's contest. Protesters and counter-protesters were drawn to Target Center in response to Sophie Cunningham. The Indiana Fever player is making headlines for her comments about transgender athletes. She first told ESPN last month that she wants to protect girls' sports from biological men. Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve wore a shirt at Sunday's game against the Fever that read, "Trans kids belong." The pair were seen having a conversation courtside before tip-off.
I think both of us understand that we have platforms, and we both talked about wanting to, more than anything, educate. And there are some things that we have in common, and maybe some things you differ on, just like any issue.
Now, Reeve told reporters on Saturday that there is a place for nuanced conversation, believing transgender kids and athletes should be included in sports. The best team in the WNBA stays home for their next matchup. The Lynx take on the LA Sparks Thursday night at 8 at Target Center. And today, Vikings training camp continues over in Eagan. Events run from noon until 5 today. And for the fans, autograph offers will be tight ends and specialist players. A little sports history for you this morning. On this day in 1949, the National Basketball Association was born, and Minnesota played a big role in that first season. The NBA formed from two leagues, the Basketball Association of America and the National Basketball League. There were 17 teams in that first season, and the Minneapolis Lakers would win the first championship. The Lakers started as a dynasty here in Minnesota, winning 5 championships in their first 10 years. And despite having a lot fewer lakes, the team and its Midwest-inspired name would move to Southern California in 1960, where they've been ever since. Still to come, we're finding out how the history of Twin Cities African-American basketball players is being preserved in a new Hall of Fame. And the cheer team getting the Twins and their fans hyped up at games. That's all coming up in Monday Motivation.